It's important for us to remember that this is a transitional book, okay? It is a book, if you're familiar with the book of Acts in the New Testament, it happens at a particular time. It's a hinge moment in the story of the nation of Israel, which means that when we read what happens in this book, we read it as descriptive, not prescriptive. It doesn't mean there will be nothing that we can take from this that tells us how to live, but there will be things that happen in this book that are only meant to happen in this book because of the particular moment of time that they're in. Very quickly, I want you to notice that what we see here is God's provision is no less precious to us, whether it is miraculous or mundane. The miraculous provision of daily bread through manna is not more special than the mundane provision of daily bread through the produce of the land. Both are given by the hand of the Lord. And yet we live in a day and age that prefers the miracle to the mundane. And I think it has always been thus, based on the way that Jesus has to tell a wicked and depraved generation that they crave signs. We have to be so careful that we are not so eager to see the miraculous moment that we forget God's faithfulness in steady daily provision in mundane ways. That on the day that the bad thing happens, we say, why do bad things always happen to me? Forgetting of all of the days, the mundane days, when the Lord supplied every single need. But anytime you're tempted to look at a portion of Scripture and say, isn't this a waste of space? Remember what a great idea it is, divine idea, that you're able to have a portable book that tells you what's true about the Lord. Like, it's a lot of words, but you can carry it around with you. And the fact that you can carry it around with you, which I think is very significant, would mean that what's in here is only what's needful. Like, if every single thing were in here, you wouldn't be able to carry it around. But everything that's in here was chosen for a reason. So we should be asking, instead of why is this in here? How is this building my faith? What Psalm 16:5 and 6 is saying in the language of the inheritance of the land of Canaan is that these boundaries should be a source of pleasure for us. They should be a beautiful inheritance. And that's the language of contentment. Now, our problem is we chase after happiness. That's what we want. And we think that the person who doesn't have the boundary that we have is actually happier than we are, right? That's what we think. And that's really dumb. Like, have you ever known someone who you're like, her husband is so great, he seems so much better than my husband, I bet she's happier than I am. Or worse, maybe it's something like, she has a Land Rover and I am driving a Volkswagen. I bet she's happier than I am. As if the car that you drive is the thing that makes you happier. And the thing with happiness is that happiness, it does come our way and we should enjoy it. But everybody knows happiness is tied to what? Circumstances. And circumstances can change on a dime. But what good boundaries are telling us is the better thing is contentment. Because while happiness is tied to circumstances and circumstances change, contentment is tied to God, who changes not. He changes not. That's been a big theme throughout Joshua, is that he's the same God who was the God of Abraham. He's the same God who was the God of Isaac. He's the same God who was the God of Jacob. He's the same God who was the God of Joseph. He's the same God who is the God of Joshua and Moses. And he's the same God for you. And all of those people would tell you that their circumstances knew how to change. But by faith, they walked forward. And they knew contentment. It's not just the book of Joshua that resounds with the call to remember. It's everywhere. And once you see it here, you will see it other places, and you will find that it moves all the way through the New Testament, all the way until the day when the things that we remember that have told us the faithfulness of God point us toward that vision of his ultimate act of faithfulness. When the true and better Joshua leads his people in triumphal victory to their final home.